think the Electoral Commission is solid enough to run a free and fair campaign, election?
Thank you very much, Simon, and the viewers of this show. Our engagements with the Electoral Commission have largely been about delivering to the people of Uganda a free and fair election, but also sticking to the parameters set under the law. And also considering that the Electoral Commission is the lead agency in management of electoral processes. So when electoral processes are messed up on account of undue interference from other state agencies like the security forces and some civil servants or public servants, then the appropriate agents of the state to ask to act and execute its mandate is the Electoral Commission. And that's why we have been all the time writing to them. When we have seen soldiers engaging in campaigns, we have written to Electoral Commission. When our campaigns have been disrupted by police, we have written to Electoral Commission.
Do they respond firmly?
And that's the whole point, because we have not received any update regarding the complaints that we have raised with them. All we see is a continuation of the gist of our complaints. We have, for example, complained about soldiers engaging in campaigns, but even this week, I have seen videos of some soldiers in the fisheries, something, whatever they call it, engaging in campaigns openly. And Simon and the people that are watching this show, is that the standards and parameters set for regulation and management of electoral processes was largely informed by what has transpired in this country previously. And the thinking of the framers of our constitution and other subsequent laws was to make sure that we do not return to the ugly history of our country.
Mr. Katana, there is a sense of resignation from your party, especially your candidate. When he was in Masaka recently, he said he's pretty sure that he will win by 90%, but Byabakama will not announce him.
No, I think I need to correct the impression. Maybe you, in your interpretation, it seemed like resignation, but I don't think it is resignation. Our candidate was painting a picture of unfairness that the Electoral Commission, because, and lack of confidence in the ability of the Electoral Commission to deliver a free and fair election to the people of Uganda on account of track record. If we have raised all these complaints with the Electoral Commission and there has not been a response, and in some instances, the Electoral Commission, through its chairman, has acted in a manner that borders on descending into the arena, making disparaging comments about our campaign, which we find inappropriate, because as the manager of the process, he's clothed with powers. If you are uncomfortable with protest vote as preached by the National Unity Platform, you have powers to summon National Unity Platform and say what you are doing offends the guidelines, offends the law, correct it. But you don't go and participate in a debate and give your views and opinion on our campaign, which undermines us in one or the other. We find it inappropriate and we take strong exception. So we have raised all these matters with them. So when our candidate raises his strong opinion about the conduct of the Electoral Commission, it is not an expression of resignation, but an expression of knowledge, and therefore a call to action to the citizens to be vigilant, to watch out, so that they are able to disrupt any plans to interfere with the process.
Thank you. Sarah, you've observed the elections on several occasions, and I believe you took very keen interest in the 2026 as it looms. From 2023, when the roadmap was launched, there have been quite a number of shifts and alterations. How would you sum up the entire journey to where we are today? just days away to an election?
You know, the 2026 journey will be defined by two factors. One is the political environment that we find ourselves in as a country and as a people. And two is the level of public confidence in the electoral process. Elections are organized for the people to exercise their sovereign rights in choosing who should govern them. When the citizens have no confidence in the process, it affects turn-up, it affects legitimacy of the leaders that will go through. Our laws don't put a minimum on how many people should cast their vote out of registered voters. And you find that the 50 plus 1% we have for example, the president, is based on voters that cast their vote. It's not based on registered voters. Some countries tag the legitimacy of an exercise on the number of registered voters that turn up. And maybe we need to move to that direction so that if you have 21 million registered voters, at least you need 15 million to turn up to vote. And if 15 million have not turned up to vote, then to what extent is the outcome of that process legitimate? We need to move to that level. Why do I say so? That's a recommendation, Moses, and you don't have to react to it. I will. So what we have now is that we have turn up at like 50%. If you look at trends of turn up, it's largely an average of 50% of registered voters.
Average?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher. The highest voter turnout was in 1996 elections. So it keeps fluctuating around that. So that helps to measure the extent to which elected leaders draw their mandate from people that are supposed to elect them. When you look at the conduct of the process so far, so the question we should pose is that, does it give confidence to people? It's the first election where we don't have meaningful voter education going on since the enactment of the 1995 Constitution. It's the first election, including big media like NBS. I don't see any voter education going on by your media house. So when you scan the country, I don't think that even the people that were accredited very late have been able to conduct 10% of expected.
Does the buck stop with the Electoral Commission?
The big mandate is part of the functions of the Electoral Commission is to design and implement voter education programs.
Yeah, but they designed the roadmap as early as 2023, but somehow they were affected by lack of funds. It's the parliament that delayed to release money, you would imagine.
That's a political question. And that's why I talked about political environment as point 2, but let me first deal with point 1. So when you don't have meaningful voter education, in a country where we were supposed to have a minimum of 5 million new voters, we have, the register has 3.5.
They say 22, close to 22 million.
No, I'm talking of new voters. New.
From 18? So that's an addition of 4.
People who didn't vote, who were not 18 in 2021, are the new voters. So they were supposed to be about minimum of 5 million, if you go by data from census. But on the register, I think they have 3.5 million. And that includes people largely who have got IDs. In the voter update program, I think Electoral Commission announced the last update was that you had got 700,000 people as new voters. And you're looking at a margin of 5 million. So if they didn't get data from NERA of young people who have IDs, maybe, I don't know whether they reached even 1 million in their own update. voters. The last update was 700,000. They will tell us the figure.
Thank you. I'll get back to you certainly. Julius, barely 5 weeks to the election, and you're just testing biometric machines. What kind of impression does this give? And you're seeking more funding.
Thank you very much, Simon, and I'm happy to be here in the company of friends and from Honorable Semuju, who I was part of his electoral college at Makerere when he stood in Mitchell Hall to be the minister responsible for food.
Is that tongue in cheek or?
No. And all the friends here, Mr. Biaruhanga, or Benjamin. So you've rightly said that the Electoral Commission is mandated by the Constitution, various articles, Article 60, 61, to conduct elections. The Electoral Commission is the referee of the electoral process. And the referee, and a number of you like football, a referee referees a game that has many actors. You have the players on the pitch for the two parties. You have the supporters that are in the chirasha cheering. You have the managers. You have the coaches. If a referee or a game is to be free and fair, it cannot only be a function or responsibility of the man with the whistle. Because if you have players on the pitch who must follow the laws, the rules that govern the game, and they say, some of them say, that for us, if we miss the ball, at least we must break a bone. If you have supporters that are mobilized by the coaches and managers to hurl insults at the players on the pitch, and when you go to score, they insult you to distract you from your mission, you can't have a game that you'll be proud of. If you have players or supporters of whatever party who say that for us, we know the rules, but when you come to score, we will carry the goalposts. There was a hall at Makerere where when they would have a game and you are playing and about to score, somebody shifts, carries the goalposts away and runs away with it. If you have actors of that nature, you have a very difficult game. The Electoral Commission has been very consistent in stating that a free, fair, transparent, credible election that gives pride to Ugandans is a responsibility of all the duty bearers, the stakeholders that have a role to play.
You seem to argue that you've played your role, but you're being disappointed by the other stakeholders.
We are saying that all of us in this political process of ensuring that we get the leaders Ugandans deserve must play our roles. The Electoral Commission does not field candidates.
Talking of roles,
the Electoral Commission does not nominate, it does nominations, but political parties field candidates. The Electoral Commission does not go around campaigning. It is the candidates that go out with their agents and supporters and do the campaigns, and the rules are there. But some deliberately decide that we will not follow the rules. So the point that I'm making, and the point of the Commission is this, that Ugandans are capable of having free, fair, transparent electoral processes, but it will take each actor, every actor, to act in accordance with the laws, to act in accordance with the guidelines issued by the Electoral Commission, to be peaceful and be respectful of one another, and to appreciate that elections are a civil process through which the framers of the 1995 Constitution felt that it is the only avenue for
Julius,
choosing leaders.
talking about playing your role as the Electoral Commission why have you reneged on the role of voter education, for starters?
So
and why have you remained mute to the concerns?
The Electoral Commission has and continues to play its role and its roles. You know very well that every element of the electoral process that everybody is following today is a result of the roadmap that the Electoral Commission issued to make sure that everyone, every stakeholder knows what needs to happen when, at what time, and that roadmap was issued, revised, and made available to everybody that cared to know. And if we were to talk about where we are on the roadmap, we would say that we are on chapter 9 out of 10. And the first chapters from update of the National Voters Register to reorganization of polling station, demarcation of electoral areas, nominations, all those processes have been and have gone very well. The question of voter education. Voter education happens at different levels. You see, perhaps when Sarah does not see it on TV or hear it on radio, she may assume that there is no voter education happening. But I want to tell Ugandans that the Electoral Commission has got staff up to the level of the parish. We have parish supervisors. We have sub-county supervisors. We have district election officers. One of their core responsibilities is to use every avenue in the villages, in community meetings, in markets, in churches, in mosques, to speak to the people about their roles and responsibilities in the electoral process. That one, you will not see it on TV, you will not hear it on news, it will not be on your Twitter account, X account, but it is happening. That work is happening. And the other work that is happening is on radios, on TVs, on digital. And we want to say that there is no Ugandan who on the 15th of January, and we want you to bring us one, who will say that for me, I am at home today. I am not leaving my home because I don't...
Do you have a voter education manual?
We do. We have a voter education manual, and this is what our voter education department uses and shares with civil society groups like ours. But let me say this.
You don't have a manual.
No, let me first make the point I wanted to make. That I know for sure that there will be no Ugandan voter registered who will stay at home on voting day. And if you go to them and ask why they have not turned out to vote, that they will say, for us, you see, we are here because we actually don't know what is happening in the country because the Electoral Commission never reached us. I want anyone here, including Sarah, to bring us one voter who will not show up, and the reason will be. But should we do more?
Honorable Semudiu has a question.
You see, the trouble, Julius has come to defend the Electoral Commission.
No, I've come to speak facts.
Even where he doesn't have to do so. I was in the Budget Committee on Tuesday. The Electoral Commission is requesting about 465 billion.
469
but I hadn't concluded my submission.
Including money
for voter education
to buy biometric machines. The Electoral Commission was part of the technical teams from various ministries accompanying the Minister of Finance. The Honorable Musasizi, the head of the team that came to the committee, when it came to the biometric machines, he was also asking the Electoral Commission how they would work. And I asked him, you are the one who came with the Electoral Commission, but you're also asking questions. Did you as cabinet sit down? And he said now he's asking as an interested party. So even at a level of cabinet, they don't know how polling is going to be conducted, even at a level of cabinet. So Julius wants to speak in very general terms. This today, from the information I picked during that interaction, I was the one doing the voter education, but at a risk of sometimes mentioning things that will not work out the way they are. So we must admit, no, because 40 days to go, you are requisitioning money to buy machines. Last week I received a letter from Electoral Commission as Secretary General of a political party to witness the arrival of the machines.
Of the last batch.
You have not piloted them. Even the Parliament said, please, We don't know how these things will work. Bring them and you begin testing with us. So let's admit. And the trouble is not Electoral Commission. The trouble is that we have a whole country that Biarang and his boss have captured. So these ones are just in a vehicle, passengers like any other person, but pretending that they are ones driving. Because Museveni said there will be biometric machines to identify voters, I am cheated, and he said where the machines will not work, there will be no elections. That he has said. So Muchungus wants to create an impression that they are in charge of a process, yet they are not. They are being driven like me and any other person.
I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance to respond.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have...
Please note that.
One of the problems we had, even at a parliamentary level, at the beginning of this whole exercise, when Museveni said there will be biometric voter identification and so on and so forth, the Minister for Constitutional Affairs said there is a law before Cabinet that will come, first of all, to legalize what was a policy and a request, and he said the Cabinet is considering it. We asked, where is the law? The Attorney General now said, no, you don't need a law. There is something in the Electoral Commission Act which allows them to use technology. But even simple things, to move from adult suffrage to lining up for LCs, they had to change the law and they came to Parliament. So these ones are being driven by the President. They are seated as passengers. They are always to drive, but they are pretending that, no, we are the ones driving. What are you driving? You are being driven. Stop the pretense. So these elections are organized. The Electoral Commission is just validating. But they are in the bus also being driven. Because 40 days to go, you are still procuring equipment. You had a strategic plan of 2.5 years, launched so many years ago.
In 2023.
In that strategic plan, you never planned for biometric because you're going to train people. In my constituency, when Nira came to register for identification, the machines failed. They had put a center in Bulino, so they kept referring those machines that were not functioning to Bulino for repair, for what? Even the human beings who are going to operate these machines, you have not trained them. So you're going to create chaos. They have, polling stations have grown. They had planned for 38. They have, as a result of the technology imposed on them, grown by 15,000 extra polling stations. So they are going to recruit more people. Those people need to be trained. They are fidgeting, the machines are arriving. You call them to Parliament to come and answer. They tell you, but the biggest section has gone for ballot printing. This is going to be a stampede, without doubt.
Moses, what's your evaluation of the Electoral Commission as we head into this election?
Well, I'm not a spokesperson for the EC. We had I'm one of the agents. Each presidential candidate has an agent or agents who represent them at the EC. As an agent of candidate Museveni, I was in a meeting yesterday at the EC. Benjamin happened to be there as well. Muchungus was also in that meeting. And we were briefed by the chairperson of the meeting that the biometric machines he's talking about have already arrived, the last batch. So if there was in the budget asking for money to buy machines, at least we were told they have enough machines. They said there will be 2 machines per constituency, sorry, per polling station. Sorry about that. They can work offline. They have enough power, battery power to run for so many hours. That's what we were told. And now they said soon they will invite us, the agents, and they also display to the whole country how the machines will be working.
So as agents, you are equally on the dark. You don't know how these machines operate, but you're going by their word.
Yeah, we're going by their word. We were told soon we are getting in a register as of now. So because it's a requirement, each candidate is supposed to have, a presidential candidate, supposed to have a register, a national register. In any case, if you have your agents, the law requires the candidate to have at least 2 agents at a polling station, and those agents, one of them should have a register, so that when I come and say, Moses Biaranga, the agent of candidate Museveni will say that's Moses Biaranga, but the agent of another candidate can also say, and that one, we don't know him here. He's not from our area. So they're able to verify. So we are soon getting the registers as we were promised. So if all things go as they are, we should be ready for 15th. But if there are any hindrances,
as an agent of candidate President Museveni,
yes,
what would be the yardsticks you would draw in evaluating the Electoral Commission? Is it just going by their word?
No, but see, we are following a roadmap. The issue, maybe now, what somebody was raising here, we are using these machines for the first time. The question now is, what now Muchunguzi can tell us? Have they trained the people going to use them? Because that's what we need.
Historically, the EC...
they also told us that the machines identify the voter with the thumbprint or the face. It's either way. So to say, this is Semuju, this is Byarhanga, this is Ofuno Pondo. The other future, I said, even the ballot, when they give you a ballot to go and cast, it passes through the machine and it identifies it, that is the right ballot, just in case somebody, because the whole thing is, how do we avoid ballot stuffing? How do we avoid ghost voting? Somebody goes and votes for another person or ticks. People say, I don't have to go to a polling station, they will tick for me. But here it means you must come and vote in person. To me, this is a very good innovation. It rules, of course, see, we have been carrying out a lot of electoral reforms.
Yeah, but it's not the first time that we are trying out the biometric system. It failed in 2016, it failed in 2021.
How did we vote? Or didn't we vote?
Manual.
Yeah, they said you use the register.
Manual.
The machines have failed.
Fine. So, just for EC, without saying the idea of a biometric machine is to minimize rigging.
And what we're saying
as possible.
Is that it's not a novel idea. It's been applied and failed dismally. As an agent of a candidate, aren't you concerned that we are bound to go through the same?
No. They're going to display to the country how the machine works, because the type of the device they're using today is different from the past one, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right.
So I cannot judge it that because last time the other one failed, or if it's like saying the other time there was an accident on Kampala Road, I'm not going to move because there was an accident on the road. We hope, we live in hope, on hope.
Thank you. Does EC give the country a clear picture on what kind of election Ugandans will have in 2026?
Let me first respond quickly to the question of biometric. I have seen, I think in the last 2 weeks, adverts in the media, the Electoral Commission calling on people interested, set of qualification there, academic qualification, to apply, to be recruited, be trained on biometric, how they are going to manage the machines. In my assessment, in my view, I think the Electoral Commission thinks the 40 days should be sufficient, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. I don't know how complicated the machine is, but I think they think it is doable. So let us wait to see if they do so. But also, we had these processes before, and I think every rule has an exception. If in their judgment and through consultation with the different stakeholders, the biometric machine cannot deliver, there must be a fallback position. I want to believe that they must be working on, because this is not the first time. You remember when we started with the voting with the face, with the photograph of candidates. Then we moved from there and we said we want to have photographs of voters. There are these skepticisms, but they did not prevent elections from taking place, because eventually they found a way out. If, for example,
and what kind of elections were they?
I think it is the one that has delivered all the governments that were.
Yeah, but they've always been disputed, and the Electoral Commission has been in the spotlight for incompetence.
Well, you remember that we have had 2 elections in the US that have been disputed, including trying to overrun the capital. Was it because biometric? The dispute does not arise out of biometric. My brother here recently, they had their selection process. There have been disputes. Is it because they were using biometric, or they are using a certain assessment that probably candidates and Ugandans are not used to? Ugandans are used to lining behind or actually voting. They are not yet probably used to where a technical team of a party making assessment to arrive at candidates. But you can see there are disputes, and we cannot prevent people from disputing, even when the fault is not with the machines. You have seen, let us take the registration of the IDs, and people disputing. Is that also because of biometric? You remember there were people even who said, you can't register us because the government is seeking to have our data so that they even know where we sleep and with whom we sleep. You remember that dispute?
Yeah, but there is a...
Listen, you see, you like interrupting. Yes. I know you're a moderator. Yes. No. These are serious. No, but these are serious matters. You remember when we started ID process, 2012, 2013, you, the opposition, you did not want the government of Uganda to register people for national ID. You said it was a trick to follow you up to your bedrooms. You remember we had that debate?
I don't know.
You remember we had a debate?
I don't know the opposition person who said that.
Yes, we had
that's the intention.
We had a debate over SIM card registration. The naysayers will always be there. The job of the government side is to give the assurance that it is doable.
Okay. Would you weigh into the skepticism, for instance, from the likes of Katana, who are saying the Electoral Commission is not playing a neutral referee?
Well, Julius is here. He will now answer probably after me. If it is true that they have never responded in writing to the complaints raised by NUP or other stakeholders. But I want to believe these engagements which Moses is raising and he has confirmed, they were there yesterday. I'm sure some of these... I know you have confirmed that there was a meeting yesterday. I think some of those complaints must have been attached. Maybe Katana is not satisfied with the response, the explanation of the Electoral Commission, but that's for Julius to say. Now, Sarah makes a mention about the voter turn-up and registration. First of all, voter registration is voluntary in Uganda. Even voting is also voluntary. Is Sarah now suggesting that we should make voting compulsory?
No, she suggests that the confidence is waning.
No.
And the Electoral Commission.
Is she probably think that we should make voting compulsory? Would that be tenable with our constitutional framework that you want to force people to vote?
That's not what I said.
You want to compel people to... No, but you see, if you say we can only do it voluntarily, civic education, voter education, which, by the way, should be done by all the stakeholders, even political parties. What prevents political parties from doing voter education to their potential supporters? What's preventing them?
Thank you.
Would they need the... Now, the other one is I don't think we should go that way, that we should make voting compulsory. We can increase... Now, how about... You are talking about the confidence. The least turnout, I think in Uganda we have in the world, we have among the highest turnout in the elections. I think the least was this last election, 2021, I guess because of COVID, where we had, I think, 60.1, about there, turnout of the registered voters. And so I think for me, that's good enough. Of course, we need to increase the momentum by mobilizing our respective supporters to turn up in big number. That's what can increase the voter turnout.
Thank you. I'll get to Julius again. You seem to be getting a lot of flack and skepticism from the players.
Straight away, let me say that the meeting that was held yesterday at the Electoral Commission, convened by the Electoral Commission, is a mechanism that the Electoral Commission has put in place to hear any emerging issues from the key actors in the electoral process notably the candidates through their agents, together with police that plays a critical role of ensuring compliance with the electoral laws. The meeting that was held yesterday at the Electoral Commission was the third in a series since campaigns began on the 29th of September. And I want to inform all those that are watching, including my brother here, Katana, that the purpose of that meeting that is scheduled by the Commission is to take stock, to hear the complaints that have been raised.
And then?
And in fact, all the issues that have been raised with the Commission that Mr. Katana here is speaking to were raised yesterday.
Have you taken action on the high-handedness of security?
And the objective of the meeting is to make sure that collectively, because these are the actors in the electoral process, that collectively solutions and redress to issues emerging and how to make sure that whatever has been raised does not happen again through...
Julius, did you just learn yesterday that security is being high-handed in the campaign?
No, obviously.
Brutality, the levels of brutality.
In yesterday's meeting, which I attended, police were... Wait. I was in the meeting.
Yes,
but I was asking.
But I can help him answer the question because I was there.
You are.
No, your turn.
No, wait. What is high-handed? We must be clear also. I don't want just walk in here just to listen to.
Responding.
Wait. Because a question can be opinionated. What you call high? Because the police was also saying in that meeting, they're not here. They're also saying that you talk to your supporters, not throw stones at us.
That's true.
And you have seen police being stoned. Now that's what I'm asking. Isn't that high-handedness now of the population? And who is responsible for it?
So where is the referee?
Yes?
In the midst of the skirmishes.
But Simon,
when you are skirmishing,
Simon,
there's no right between NRM and
so Simon, I think
we are running a country.
I was therefore trying,
I'll do the moderation. It's okay. It's your turn.
I was saying that Mr. Katana is not exactly correct to say that the issues that are raised are not listened to, heard, and addressed. They are heard, they are addressed. The redress is a collective action because...
You've received their correspondences.
We've received them.
You've received their correspondences.
And this,
how many times have you replied?
And the Commission has this mechanism that I've just mentioned that is in place for purposes of ensuring...
You can answer specifically. We have raised the question of soldiers engaging in campaigning for the NRM candidate, Museveni. What has been the appropriate action taken by the Electoral Commission?
But they had it yesterday.
I'm explaining that, that all the issues that had to be put on the table, some which have been brought before, those which were brought yesterday, were all discussed. And the solutions do not emanate from the Electoral Commission alone because they are stakeholder-related questions. For instance, there were some agents who were saying that candidates, supporters of rival parties have been beating others. The inter-voter confrontation that has nothing to do with police, that has nothing to do with the Electoral Commission, but you have, Mr. Katana, but let me
I think you need an interjection here. Yes, please take it in, please. For a minute.
If Julius can allow, I was in Kasese for a by-election. I was.
I thought we were discussing.
But when we raised the complaints, I think the commissioner at that time was Baruku. He came at a polling station. He told the military, if you continue flouting the rules, I am going to close this particular polling station. And they stopped. We were in Jinja with the Tashovia and others. The NRM corrected all our agents and took them to the central police station. The Electoral Commission drove there and said, if you pick them again, we are going to cancel this election. Because you are dealing with too many layers. There is an institutional layer, but also there are over enthusiastic NRM people. Muchungus, if you have seen the images as a citizen, not even just as the Electoral Commission, of police and military beating people, and Biranga is saying they are stoning them, That stoning is a response to brutality, and I'm not justifying it.
The
I'm not
commission,
justifying it.
the
But
commission,
when you close roads, when you ask candidates to go,
Even not true that the police is being stoned.
the
Just
commission
propaganda.
has come out on a number of these issues. The most recent statement was issued very recently by the chairperson of the commission, speaking to the issues that we saw and the unfortunate incidents in which lives were lost. And the commission has been very categorical that some of these incidents, most of them actually, are avoidable, they are regrettable, and they should not happen at all.
Okay.
But let me say this, because there are many issues. that were
Other
being
than
raised.
condemning for optics, what more can you do?
Now, the institution that is mandated to ensure law and order and compliance with the electoral laws and all other laws is Uganda Police. And it's unfortunate that we don't have Uganda Police force here to respond to that. But let me speak to the issue that Honorable Semuju raised regarding BVVK machines. It has been pointed out that this is not the first time that these biometric verification systems have been used. They were used in 2016 and 2021. At every stage of these processes, there have been improvements. Technology evolves. Lessons are learned over time. So you cannot hold yourself hostage to a problem that happened in 2016 and 2021 and you say because there were those problems, therefore, we should put up our hands and say we resign to fate. What is in the kit at this point that is going to be used is enhanced. It has taken into consideration the failures or gaps that were there in the previous kits, and we are confident, the Commission is confident, and would like to let the Ugandans know that, one, these kits that are going to be deployed, two, at each polling station, before it was just one. This time it's going to be two. Number two, they are of a higher advanced capability to stay the course longer than the previous versions.
I think we got similar assurances back then.
Number three, no. If you can't be held in the past.
But you learn.
But number three is that the training already is ongoing of IT officers. The recruitments are going on, as has been mentioned. These gadgets, really, they are not rocket science.
Can you imagine? You set out the roadmap in 2023, and you're buying machines on the eve of elections.
No. I'm saying, and we are saying, that these machines, which are already in the country, over 100,000 of them, the training required to use them does not require you to go to obtain a master's degree in IT.
Yeah,
so
but
the workers,
in
the
the
people,
past they have failed.
The people, because those lessons in the past have been taken into consideration, and that is why there is enhanced training, there is a schedule for training. There are going to be two sets of trainings for the over 50,000 machine operators. In addition,
we'll take a very short break, and certainly when we return, there is a lot to discuss. We are asking whether
to first deal with
the Electoral Commission is giving a clear picture of where things stand ahead of 2026.
And that we are in charge.
We'll be back. And you've raised quite a number of pertinent issues, but do you appreciate the handicaps that the Electoral Commission is going through? He said the players themselves are not being compliant.
You see, I have, at this stage, held at least 3 rallies. When I was going for nomination, there was police. I told you, majority of the police and security was very professional. Even when I disagreed with them, they were very respectful. I have not seen at a parliamentary level candidates being harassed. I have not seen. They just had any complaint. We don't have police at our rallies. Even when we have problems, you call them. At the beginning of this exercise, we never had this sort of deployment. But when the crowd started growing, especially of Kyagulanyi, and the ground started shaking, because Mao said, and I understood him, it's going to be a quiet election. It is an election they wanted to manage in a particular way. That's why candidates are directed, particularly Kyagulanyi, you will need to go and pass in Rukaya if you are going to Jinja. You go first to Masaka because you must not go to areas of high settlement. they thought that way they
You're
will be
going
able,
to Jinja and
you go to Masaka, because they don't want you to go through urban centers. So they had constructed and they thought they will manage an election that will not attract crowd, that will not attract excitement. So when the excitement started coming, now the military is invited, now police is invited. Electoral Commission must be ashamed of what they are seeing. In 2001, I had started working at Mond. Aziz Kasuja, the late, wrote to Museveni and told him, if you don't remove your soldiers from Rukunjiri, I'm going to cancel. I still have that letter. I'm going to cancel those elections in Rukunjiri. At that time, you had an electoral commission that was able to communicate to candidates. This particular one, the one of Chigundu, was the worst. He was even almost kneeling when he was talking to Museveni. One time, he went for a press conference. Museveni had summoned him in Nakasero, summoned the electoral commission, and they together addressed a press conference. They kept saying, yeah, dara, dara, sir, that Chigun. These particular ones are hiding, but they are not different from Chigun. I think the whole exercise is being driven by Museveni. What he wants is what they will do, because they had a strategic plan, 2.5 years, set out things to do. Along the way, Museveni kept insisting we will have biometric, it is a must, and he has imposed it on them.
Julius says they are 90% in implementing the roadmap.
90% elections, all these exercises are important, but the most important part of the election is polling day. So that's when the actual elections take place. So if you mess up polling day, even if you have done excellently and 100%, then you have no election to speak about. And that's why usually
Aren't you being alarmist in saying it's already messed up?
But if your candidates are not allowed to access people to speak to, if the military has taken over, Mohozi has started swearing, you Kabobi, I will deal with you, and he's a CDF, and his father is just cheering up. So really, we can sit here and pretend opono. I saw you in your own elections, even you had started crying because of the things that were happening.
But
you come.
I'm waiting to welcome you at the steps of Parliament.
No, swearing it takes place the same day. So for me, the point, this country must not pretend about an election that is managed by the military, not just police.
But how are you usually managing it?
Have you seen military people?
Managing what?
They are the ones managing candidates. At the beginning of this exercise,
if you can allow,
the CDF, Moz Kainerugawa, said, you candidates, I am going to deploy SFC on you. The other day you had police complaining that their machines, which are meant to jam network where Chagwanjadwe singularities had been stolen by Loop supporters. Why? So this is not an exercise run by Electoral Commission. They flagged it off, and then Museveni and his son are running.
So you want to suggest that the EC has been overrun
but I told
by
you earlier,
other stakeholders?
Except if you want me to re-emphasize, I told you these are passengers like us. We are all being driven by Museveni. If he says take this direction, they will follow. He says I want biometric. They said the procurement has started to give us more money. They can't tell him that we are not ready for this technology, because you have had by-elections. Anyone is sensible. If you wanted to introduce new technology, you should have used the by-election that you have carried out in this term of office, such that you know how many minutes it will take practically, not theory that you have received money from the manufacturers, and then you're able to speak about something that you have practically done. Parliament that has candidates at parliamentary level is asking, can you take us through this exercise? And I'm told they are organizing for Parliament. If at a parliamentary level people are ignorant of what you are doing, what about the ordinary people contesting?
You want to come in?
So these are legitimate issues.
It may be true, you haven't, the members of Parliament haven't been briefed, but Honorable Semujo, you are the one who has said on this show many times that majority of members of Parliament, even when you brief and you give them documents, they don't read. So part of the complaint may be that they have not taken the matter as individuals.
No. When you give them, now they haven't been given. So how do I blame them?
No.
Yes. I want to blame them when they have been given and they haven't read.
Even the minister you are quoting, it is possible that the minister can be briefed, and you remember that they are busy campaigning. It is possible that somebody is given actually the documents, but has not taken time to familiarize with the contents of the document. But that's another. The question of violence, first of all, I know you will not accept that there are candidates, there are political parties whose stance, they have said they are going to disregard every rule, every common sense. You want security to food, and you want to cry foul. But I also think the violence is coming up because it is being instigated, Mr. Katana, by your group, because I think your reading is that you have lost ground. I know you are boasting outward, but you know you have failed to expand.
How do you know?
Tell me, in this country, which village, which regions you think NOP has expanded into?
Soga.
I'm saying expanded to, they were there last time. 2,
Lira.
Tell me who are their candidates that are likely to win beyond what they currently have. My reading, which I can say expert, because which I can say
biased.
No, you have certainly lost Mpuga, for example, so he's not going to be, he's not your candidate. Even if he wins, he's not going to be yours unless you overrun him. Then you can take that constituency. Now, so you have many areas you currently hold, in my assessment, and I travel around this country very much, that you are unlikely to get back. And I think that's why your posture now is changing to a violent posture. And you cry foul. Now, let us look at the presidential candidate.
So it's not instigating violence, right?
Yes, by their posture, by their conduct. 2, we have 8 candidates, presidential candidates.
With specifics, where are we?
No, we have 8 presidential candidates. If you say violence against presidential candidates' rallies or disruption is the dominant feature, how many presidential candidates are having their rallies or meetings or their routes diverted in proprio? How many? Why is this cry coming mainly from no presidential candidate and his sidekicks? 3, we have 146 districts. Well, yes, 156 districts. Tell me, in how many, 146, in how many districts have we had confrontations between security and the candidates or their supporters? So that you say violence is the dominant feature of this campaign. 4 or 5 candidates have held meetings, and we can count. If we go to them, I'm sure they have their register. The meetings they have held as per agreed timetable. How many of those meetings have been disrupted? We have parliamentary candidates, and I'm glad Honorable Someju, at least on the parliamentary one, he concedes. We have close to 2,000 or more parliamentary candidates. How many of them have complained that police or the military or other rival supporters have disrupted them, so that you can conclude that violence is the dominant feature of this election? I think these guys are simply trying to prepare the mind. The civil society group are saying there's violence. Why? They must justify the funding.
Which funding?
Well,
funding
you must justify the funding.
Violence.
You must justify the funding. You must justify the funding by saying the election is being marred by violence, because the people who fund some of you are not here.
But I think
they may not have first-hand accurate information, and they will base on that.
I think
who is doing the assault?
Simon,
when you're talking
we
about
need the
violence,
context of this.
In how many countries? In how many countries do you touch a policeman? Touch their uniform? In
how many countries are citizens killed in elections?
Well, you see, the reason Parliament appropriates money for weapons and ammunition to those agencies,
so that they kill. No, I think Simon.
No, it's okay. Give him a chance. You rebut.
There's a general view that human beings need force sometimes to be controlled. And in some of the cases of these guys, you see, these guys know they are trying to imitate what Kizza Besigye and FDC tried to do in 2005.
At least they are not imitating Museveni who picked guns.
Yes, I'm saying in election, Museveni never picked a gun to disrupt election in 1980. His going to the bush was a consequent result of the outcome of that election.
I want to bring in Mr. Katana.
This guy, listen,
You don't seem to be coming into this with clean hands, as you complain.
Do you think they are using protest vote? It is an imitation of civil disobedience. It's an imitation of civil disobedience. And somehow they think that because it's an election time, they can have their way. We are telling you, it is election, yes.
You're even disobeying the moderator.
I'll give you 10 seconds to wind up.
Somebody may be a presidential candidate, but we don't suspend the rules and we don't suspend laws because you're a presidential candidate, you're in the election.
Thank you. Let's hear from Benjamin.
The NRM people don't know how to play by the rules. That's why he's even
that's what we need to
Council.
disobeying.
I've had a similar sentiment that it's actually no, that is violating the guidelines. Campaigning beyond time, campaigning, disrupting traffic in towns. That's an argument that's come from police and the Electoral Commission.
I think the starting point, Simon, is that first of all, that is inaccurate. And I think it is unfair for you to allow the Honorable Fono Pondo here to speak generally and with allegations unsubstantiated against our party and the candidate. In other words, allowing him to manipulate the reality and gaslight the victims of the police brutality. Because the brutality against our candidate and all of us that are involved in this campaign has been unprovoked. They are telling stories of people being stoned. If any of us had picked a stone and thrown it at a police officer, they would come here and say, Katana on this day threw a stone at policemen, that's why he was beaten. The presidential candidate did ABC, that's why he was tear gassed, that's why they used the teasers on him, electric teasers. That's why they have been using all sorts of violence against our supporters. And you have been seeing the videos of innocent people standing at a rally being tear gassed. People who have been
I've also seen videos of your candidate saying, we can overwhelm them.
And is that a crime? If you are telling people that if you are 10 million people, how can one person come and brutalize you and you don't defend yourselves?
Is that
criminal?
That's incitement.
No, even the head of state has previously said, if you see people trailing you, why don't you challenge them? Yeah. And that's the spirit. He's not saying, go and attack them, saying, defend yourselves. That is not criminal. When they are shooting people.
He said, sort them.
You stop and
those are
challenge
shooting,
them.
yes.
Yeah.
Those are criminals.
Yes, but even these ones are shooting. We have been losing people. So
you say
our presidential candidate
says you're crying foul because you've lost ground and you're trying to make EC a punching bag.
No, they are just preparing the population for rigging. That's why he's making all these allegations. But I would like to focus not on his speculation, but
just remember that NRM has 13 members of parliament, and surely
and I also
in those constituencies, you will not.
I also want to help him understand that that hypothesis is wrong. Because, for example, in Busoga in the previous elections, we got only one parliamentary candidate, but we defeated NRM in the whole of Busoga region. Did we have successful parliamentary candidates? So that hypothesis is inaccurate. But that is besides the point. The major point we are discussing is the unprovoked brutality of security forces against our candidate. And I
think that shouldn't be the major point. The major point is about the role of the EC in the midst of the chaos.
And the failure of the Electoral Commission.
Have they failed?
Take a bold stand. Yes, they have failed. Because on several occasions, they just speak general about it, and many times take the script of Ofono Pondo here to blame the victims. They have not come out strongly to condemn. Even when we have written to them, we expect them to come and account, to say when these matters we are raising, we raise them with the appropriate commanders. But what places the Electoral Commission at the scene of crime as conspirators in the use of violence against the people of Uganda is that they have been quiet about this brutality. They only come and say it's regrettable. But you must be able as Electoral Commission to say we are calling out the Uganda police force. Stop using excessive force.
You were in the room together. You were in the room together with them.
You saw police using dogs to attack and arm citizens at a rally. Is it criminal to attend a rally?
Dogs are part of police assets.
But is it criminal to attend a rally?
I'm saying dogs are part of
Yes.
the assets of the police, and Parliament of Uganda appropriates money to buy, feed, train those dogs.
To go and attack people attending a rally?
Yes, if they think you have committed an offense which requires a dog to come and trail you.
And that offense is attending a rally?
No. It is not
but the whole point, Simon, is that the challenge that we are dealing with is that there is a fusion between the state and the party and the individual.
Yes, go ahead.
And by extension...
Benjamin, as of today, how many rallies has your candidate held, and how many have you had confrontation with the police?
There are many where we have had confrontations with the police.
Wait. Because I know you have held more than 70 rallies.
Yes.
Where you have had confrontation with the police must be less than 10.
No, there are more than 10.
No? You tell us. Where?
But the degrees vary. For example,
in Uganda.
You may even want, for him, you may want to start from what transpired in Kawempe. But even prior to that, for example, when our candidate had in Rira, for example, his hotel was broken into.
By who?
By police and other members of the armed forces. When we were in Mbarara, you saw what transpired. When we were attacked in Chiruhura by people who were holding sticks, they were guarded by police.
But that wasn't at rallies. That was
These are rallies.
in processions.
Yes.
See, those are three.
But in Kazo, when our rally was attacked by NRM vigilantes in the presence of police. So there are many. I don't want to spend the whole night.
Is it about numbers or it's about the actions?
No, you see, we need also to gauge. If you have held 70 rallies plus, and you have had incidents in 4 or 5 years, I'm not told you 4 or 5.
So do you find it acceptable?
No, it's not acceptable. But the way it's saying, our rallies, it's as if everything has been bad.
What he's saying has actually been discussed previously at the Supreme Court. A hypothesis like his was being presented, but how many people were killed? And the Supreme Court noted that even if one person is killed, it has an implication on the other people. How do they view the process? Even if the disruption, the violence was at one rally, still the Electoral Commission would have a responsibility to come out and condemn it in the strongest possible terms.
I want to get
and hold whoever is responsible accountable.
Sarah, you were ordinarily meant to be an observer in this. I don't know whether you've been accredited yet. Have you?
No, Electoral Commission under Byabakama does not work with major CSOs. Why do I say so? In 2021 elections, we were accredited, we did our work, and we were arrested while observing elections at Hotel Africana. 28 of our colleagues spent 3 days in custody and 6 months reporting to police on fictitious charges, arrested on orders of the Vice Chair of the Electoral Commission. This time round, they denied us accreditation. So we are monitoring elections because monitoring doesn't need accreditation. We are not observing. To be an observer, you must be accredited.
Wait, lost their legs. So the police was saying, we don't need this kind of thing. Now, those people lost their legs. They may never recover them.
There was an NRA procession in Mbarara. Are you aware of it?
Thank you very much.
I told you that yes, was an NRA procession, and the procession...
And it was never disrupted.
No, it doesn't have to be disrupted, because the organizers worked with police.
Electoral Commission said no procession. This election is not governed by police.
It's part of the guidelines.
The guidelines. There will be no procession.
No, the guidelines, but with police.
No.
Police are not
need to come in here. Did you see the NRM procession in Mbarara?
No, whatever happens on the ground, if it is against the guidelines and it is reported to the commission addresses it. I'm not aware of a report of that nature that has been submitted to the Electoral Commission. But perhaps, let me say this.
No, I'll give you a chance. I will give you a chance. It was still Sarah's time.
Yes.
Yes.
I wanted also to bring out the issue of disqualification of opposition candidates. I will use the example of Honorable Nyamtoro. That ruling by the EC tribunal was really an embarrassment. Somebody going to manipulate people who have endorsed an opposition candidate, then they come with stories, we don't even support this candidate. Any contestation of signatures must be resolved by handwriting experts. So that ruling of the EC tribunal was an embarrassment. It takes away the confidence in the referee of this exercise. There were other contestations around signatures. If Electoral Commission does not submit these contested signatures to police handwriting experts, they are manipulating the electoral process and shortchanging the will of the choice that people should make as to who should govern them.
Are you sure there was no handwriting expert?
In that ruling, there was none. I've read it. So when you read the other issues, of course, blocking of candidates, we are tracking it. NUP candidate rallies, the movements of the NUP candidate, there were so many blockages. It's not just the one incident. It was almost the norm. Routes are changed, diverted, even prior grid routes are not followed. That is really a violation.
Thank you. Julius, there is an impression that you now come off as spectators under certain circumstances. For instance, when NRM is doing processions in the middle of the road, you can only feign ignorance.
First, I wanted to say the view and position of the Commission when it comes to violence. That violence benefits nobody. And it is for that reason that the Commission insists on calling upon everybody to desist from actions that can degenerate what is a possible peaceful process into violent confrontations. But let's say this. Let's say, no, first wait. First wait.
You have powers to act.
First wait.
You are not an NGO.
First wait. There are over 83,000 candidates across the country, from councillors to the president, contesting for 45,000 elective positions. And in about perhaps 99% of all the campaigns that are ongoing, they are peaceful. These episodes of violence that we've seen scattered in a few places,
are they negligible?
They are not negligible, and they shouldn't exist at all. But it should not paint a picture that the entire electoral process is defined by these scenes.
Yeah, but can we treat these scenes in isolation?
No. We can't treat them in isolation. But we should not lose sight of the picture of the rest of the candidates across board, the 83,000 that are conducting themselves in accordance with the electoral laws, that are following the guidelines. Because you see,
Julius, you need to get serious.
I'm extremely serious.
2020.
I am extremely serious on this matter.
2020, this country was under chaos for more than 3 days.
What?
Because the military and the police disrupted the campaign of a presidential candidate.
But what this
means? When you begin counting
what this means, Honorable Semuju,
yes,
is that Ugandans are capable of resolving to have peaceful elections, and that the power is in your hands.
No, look, Julius. All we've heard from the Electoral Commission are condemnations and appeals. Are you a commission that bites?
Are you suggesting?
Are you a commission that bites?
Are you suggesting that the commission should should stand on Kampala Road, that the entire electoral commission should come out, the chairman, and stand.
I am suggesting, because when we were in Jinja and NRM with the police were picking our agents,
yes,
the electoral commission told them, you continue, I cancel election.
I can tell you
that was an electoral commission.
I can tell you that there are measures that the commission.
If they are beating
there are measures that the commission undertakes.
Action.
There are measures that the commission undertakes.
Like?
By speaking directly to responsible people, and the traction on the ground changes tremendously positively.
What have you done? For instance,
so I can tell you, for instance,
Katana, an agent of Honorable Robert Chagulanyi says, you've chosen to go mute on their concerns.
No. Now, you see, the chairman of the commission has, and he mentioned it yesterday in the meeting, on the calls that he makes to law enforcement when he gets information without even being, waiting for anybody to raise a complaint. And he speaks to these people and says, how did this happen? What was the cause? How can it be resolved? How can we make sure that we don't see these kind of scenes? What is the root cause? So some of those, you see, they are actions that need cameras. They are actions that need action. They are mechanisms. When you grandstand, you don't get results. So the commission determines the best approach to ensure that we get an election that gives us pride as a country.
Is the EC chairman and a whip or a councillor? Just cancelling.
No. You in situations like these, you use all means available, all approaches available to reach the desired.
When you run mad, you don't need to go to a market square and announce that you have run mad. But people can tell from your actions that you have run mad.
So I'm saying,
are we seeing the escalation on account of intervention, much as we don't know what kind of intervention they are doing, or we are seeing escalation? Because what we see is escalation.
I believe that we are seeing a change that is positive, and we believe we are going to see even better.
When did it happen?
What happened today?
Because you see these things have a pattern.
What happened today, for instance? So we believe, and the members that attended this meeting yesterday, and two of them are here, the commitment they made yesterday, collectively, is beginning to show results, and would like to see those results.
Including the army
and the police. No. Sorry, you were not in the meeting. They were here.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
But we believe.
Did the security make any pledge?
Commitment.
Oh, yes. They did. Everybody did. And the focus was to make sure that all situations that lead us into confrontation should be avoided at all costs.
We'll take a very short break, and when we return, another issue that is under contention is about voters remaining at the polling station. How is this being interpreted, and who is right or wrong? Sarah, you're a lawyer.
Yes.
Is the contention about interpretation or fear?
Well, if I may first speak as an election observer, because I'm the global chairperson of domestic election observers, the chair electoral commission is intimidating voters. Why do I say so? The provision you've just read provides that voters who wish to stay at a polling station can stay
20 meters
away from the polling area. The same provision is repeated in section 30, subsection 4 of the Parliamentary Elections Act. Both elections happen on the same day, meaning that voters who wish to stay at a polling station are provided for to stay by law. So when you have, and off air we are debating whether a chair who is a judge can make a mistake, I found this statement extremely embarrassing to come from a chair of the Electoral Commission. Even if that chair of the Electoral Commission was an ordinary person, not a lawyer, and in this case we are talking of a justice of constitutional court, to make such a mistake, it was a completely embarrassing and unacceptable, and he should withdraw
What's
it.
the spirit behind you, Benjamin, urging voters to crowd around polling stations?
No, we are not. It is a call to vigilance, and it comes on the backdrop of a history of vote rigging at polling stations where even officials of the Electoral Commission are involved. Things like ballot stuffing.
But you have agents, don't you?
They may not be sufficient, and he has given you an example of where polling agents are picked. The 2 polling agents are picked, and the idea now is that even if the official agents are picked, at least there are people at the polling station to know that Simon has voted twice, he's coming back to vote the 3rd time and the 5th time. So it is a call to vigilance.
Yeah, but this contradiction is putting people into harm's way.
No, but you see,
security is coming out to tell people, go home.
What is the interest of security? Because if you are saying people observe the law, but be vigilant, and security is saying, don't be vigilant. And that's the whole point. That's why we are, that's why we are asking citizens.
Julius, are you failing in interpreting this provision in the Presidential Elections Act?
Not at all, not at all. And let me say that the context of the statement of the chairperson needs to be understood. The chairperson of the Electoral Commission was speaking about people who are supposedly being prepared to be deployed at the polling station, calling themselves vote protectors. So the chairperson said that in the law there is no provision for anybody at a polling station called a vote protector. And the chairperson explained the people that are allowed under the laws to be at the polling station. Of course, the voter, the electoral official.
Within the precincts.
Within the precincts of the polling station.
Picked like grasshoppers.
So the agents, each candidate has 2 agents at the polling station. They are observers. These are the people that are recognized in the laws as people that are allowed to be within the precincts of a polling station. Anybody who comes wearing any form of identification as a vote protector is not provided for in the law. So that was within.
On one hand, the army is telling people to go home immediately.
So that was what Justice Mukunja Simon was speaking to.
Okay.
And then he went on to say
that they
once you voted,
like grasshoppers.
okay, he explained scenarios of situations where you'll find a polling station, a polling center that has, say, 12 polling stations that could be up to 7,000 people. And he said, look, there may be situations where crowding around even a polling station, lawful as it is, may create situations that can get out of hand. But he did say that he is very much aware of the provision that you...
Isn't it odd that you're out to offer clarity to what a distinguished judge
because there's been a deliberate misrepresentation.
Give a new version.
There's been a deliberate misrepresentation. And Mr.
If I may ask you, these provisions of the law were made in 2005.
Yes.
We have held elections 4 times after they were made.
Yes.
How come there has never been a stampede on any polling
because
station?
you see, we've been having, that's been...
You are not
leave him to answer.
Where voters have themselves falsely accused another person of voting twice, 3 times to justify their disruption of polling process. You're not aware of
and whoever is the spokesperson to us,
you are not aware.
I'm not aware.
I have been an agent of yours.
I am not aware.
So I have been an agent of yours.
I am not aware.
I can tell you.
I thought you have been an employee of the state.
The commission...
Julius.
Yes.
The commission...
The army says go home.
I speak for the Electoral Commission.
The army is already cautioning people to go.
They are reading from the same script of intimidating voters.
I speak for the Electoral Commission. I think on the next occasion you can invite the army to speak.
No, you seem to be speaking on the same from the same wavelength.
No, I speak for the Electoral Commission on electoral matters, and that is my brief. And I'm saying that there has been a misrepresentation of the statement of the chairperson. And indeed, Honorable Katana, I'm calling, yeah, Honorable, you're on the way. Oh, you may be on the way.
But for me, I am happy.
Benjamin.
If they are walking away from that stupid statement,
no, that's it. That's
yes,
okay.
So that it's illegal for them.
Benjamin was in the meeting yesterday, and the chairperson explained at length the context, the setting, the practicalities, and the root of the suggestion that he was making.
Let me bring in Moses. What, in your opinion, brings out all this fuss about whether to stay or to go home, and why is it such a big thing?
Well, first of all, we have been voting before since 1994, the CA elections, 96 and all other elections. People go vote, go home, and maybe to come back at time of, some will come back at time of counting. So, now, that's why Museveni is saying, look about the context. The chairperson mentioned that with the use of biometric system, many polling stations have been, especially here in urban centers, have been, are not more than 6, have been split to not more than 600 per polling station. So you find that in one of the area, like especially like area like where Samuji comes from in Kira and other places around the city, you'll find that there are many, like 10 polling stations in one center. And if each one has about 600 voters, you have about 13 of them, that's we have about 7,000 people. I said if 7,000 people stayed behind the seat there and crowded the place, even when they're about 2,000 and then the 5,000 haven't voted, people might fear you to come and vote because they find the place crowded. So we give room for others to come and participate in the election. I remember in the last by-election in Kawempe, there were some areas where you used to say, don't go there. They would intimidate. It was there in Kawempe. People intimidating others not to vote. Yeah, so listen.
No, because it's building into what you're saying.
No.
If we anticipate that this provision of law is likely to cause a problem, why don't we amend the law? Other than giving illegal orders,
but before
amend the law.
Before the amendment has been made, the commissioner said in the context that here, like in the urban centers, you'll find at one polling area, there are many polling stations. If we all encourage our voters to stay behind, it will be a problem on itself because some people might come and find the whole place is crowded. I don't have where to pass through to go and vote, and then go and fail to vote. But before that, so it was in that context that the chairman explained that if we overcrowd the polling stations, we might disrupt the polling process itself.
Yeah, but what's wrong with the overcrowding? Vigilance.
No, this is the vigilance
to stay around because there have been instances of ballot stuffing.
The ballot stuffing with the biometric system working, you cannot ballot stuff in the first place because, as I mentioned earlier, that system identifies the voter by thumb.
Sarah, please.
Identifies the voter by thumb. Identify the voter by face, and even the ballot itself is identified by the system. So you cannot ballot stuff. You cannot do ghost voting. You cannot tick for somebody. So those fears, if the people are too crowd there for those fears, then those fears are unwanted.
Well, now as we cross to Afro-Mobile now, yes.
I mention something about maybe the fear of what people we are competing with. You see, we are having 3 elections in one. You have the local government elections. In local government elections, the NRM has nominated in all the polling all the electoral areas. The people near to us, like the Loop, have only nominated in 33% at district level and less than 33% at lower levels. When you go at parliamentary level, we have 499 seats. The directly elected members of parliament like Semuju, there are 353. Then the women's seats are 146, total 499. NRM has nominated in all of them, the 499, with some of it getting unopposed. Now, the one nearest to us, NUP, has only nominated in only 59%. So they have left 41% for us to win them. So we're going to win all the parliament. We are going to win the parliamentary elections, no doubt about it. We're going to win local government elections, no doubt about it. And obviously the presidential elections. We're going to win the presidential elections. So if people feel they are in a problem, they are already lost. So that would cause the reason to say we lost because there was ABCD. So you lose honorably. Because we're going to win you at presidential. Oh no, we're going to win you.
You may come in now.
And somebody was saying, they won in Busoga. In Busoga, the NUP last time defeated us by only 48,000 voters. 48,000. 48,000.
That's significant.
It's not significant. It's not. It's not. It's so significant. So on that one, I said we're going to win local government elections. His hypothesis.
Okay, fine.
Simon, first of all, I think police, let me say security agencies, since they are cooperating in this matter, they use intelligence. They don't go for like the civilians.
The chiefs are in jail for cooking intelligence.
Yes. Why they're in jail is because they are intelligence. That does not mean all of them cook intelligence. Now, what are the elements of this in this protest vote? I will give you 2 polling stations in 2 different districts. There's a polling station in Nyinga called Bulyankuyege. There's a polling station in Mukono town called Nasuti. I don't vote in any of them because I vote in Mulanda. My practice has been, I drive the evening before, I'm among the first voters in Mulanda, and I start driving back. As I observe the polling stations by the roadside from Tororo until Kampala. Usually by evening I'm with Moses at our center where we are monitoring from. Now, when I was returning during the last election, and this has been the practice of opposition, by the way, especially the strong ones, presidential, in the Bulyankuyege, they just said, because it's just by the roadside, near Nyenga Seminary, opposite Nyenga Seminary, and they just say, if it is morning, they even say, Totu Somera register, Fetuzo Koba Karulu, Totu Tawanya ne register. And if you are 2-3 election officials, you will get intimidated. No. I'm telling you, this is Bulyankuyege. And yes, I reached Mukono around 2. And I witnessed a similar thing. Where in that Mukono Nasut, they did not allow the election officials to go to use the voters' register. They said, and we count. I think that is the fear that could have been, that could be what has motivated the Electoral Commission and security to advise that you have 2 agents. Maybe you can put 5 in case there are certain things happening.
You have read the law.
No. I've read the law. Cautionary advice that look, if you have 600 people probably who have voted, maybe even they don't vote in that place. Maybe they are not even the registered voters, these youths. Their job will simply to come and shout, harangue everyone to make
at the time of counting.
So your advice is say, yes.
Here is the law.
No, I'm
31-4.
Yes.
Voters who have cast their votes and all other persons in the vicinity of the polling station, other election officers, candidates,
remember,
shall stand. Shall stand or sit. Sorry, I was reading. Or sit at least 20 meters away from the table mentioned. Now the other says go home.
Exactly. You remember what is as a polling station has normally a ring around it. Usually after you have voted, you go outside that ring.
Yeah.
You can stand outside.
And I said 20 meters outside.
Yeah, the agents are the ones who are allowed within that ring.
Yeah. Yes.
It is possible that the people outside can create a situation which makes polling And I think that's why it's necessary to say, okay.
At time of counting,
yes.
There's where the voter has voted a Kafu. The people who are talking about Kafu are outside even.
They would be bothered by declarations from state actors like RDCs in some places saying here voting is going to be at the table.
Yeah.
And that has been happening.
And that's illegal.
Yeah, but they are not even bothered by that.
Benjamin.
They are not even talking about it.
That is being solved by the machine.
Let me bring in Semuju here. Honorable Semuju. Is it fear
15 years.
or strategic alertness that the army is saying, keep off, stay home? And the Electoral Commission is resounding the same message.
You see, this election, all that the law prescribes has a reason. That's why at the beginning of the exercise, they are telling you must have a number of voters available for you to begin opening the polling station. So the intention of the law was for the public to observe these elections, because that's what will give it credibility. And that's why they are allowed to stay at a polling station if they like.
Not in the polling station.
At the polling station. So it cannot be the Electoral Commission to advise them. The Electoral Commission is supposed to read the law to the agents, to the candidates, and to the population. Once the law allows people to stay, the Electoral Commission cannot tell them to go away, not even security. But I have seen, so you observe and get to understand the mind of those who are in NRM. I hadn't paid attention until one of my councillors told me today that they have said, the Commission said the campaigning for all the elections will stop on 13th. I asked myself, if I am a councillor, my election coming up 7th February, why do you stop me campaigning in January 13th and I have a whole month not campaigning? But the idea you can see.
Was that from the EC?
Yes, he's here. They said campaigning at all levels stops on 13th.
Is that true, Julius?
I'll need to check that. I'll need to check that.
Maybe your councillor didn't understand what the Electoral Commission is saying. But I can appreciate, for example, if they say presidential parliamentary voting is on 15th. What would be wrong if you stayed your campaign for that day, so that does not conflict? Because surely, if other people are going for voting polling, and for you are holding a rally perhaps nearby.
You are addressing something else. The Electoral Commission has said campaigning for
where is that? Where is that?
But he's here, you're not Electoral Commission. No, I have not heard. Let him answer.
I have not heard. How come it is you who has heard?
I have told you.
It is you who has heard.
Even me, I wasn't vigilant enough to know.
So why is the Electoral Commission? You can know the rest, but you can't say.
Julius, you want to clarify?
Let him tell us. When campaigning, I know that campaigns are ending at different dates. I need to cross-check. That's what I know. No, that one I need to cross-check and be sure that I'm telling you what is factual. But what is the problem? What's the problem? What is your problem? The issue is the same reason that Museveni and military, headed by his son, is stopping rallies, is the same reason that he doesn't want people to come at the polling station. They are afraid of the population. So they will keep you away. That will give them satisfaction.
We're going to win you. Why are you afraid of the people who vote for us?
I left the Tari Center in Wakiso. Went back. We had prepared food at home. I saw these armored vehicles coming. Can you imagine as far as Bukasa? And they told people should go away. I said, but they are here eating. You come and tell them to go away. They don't want people to gather. And they will begin stopping those gatherings prior and after election. You must all go indoor.
But somebody had said that we walk into the city because we are going to win.
So was my home the city?
It is part of it. You are in the city. And you in the city.
Gentlemen and lady, what a pleasure having you tonight.
Giving them energy to walk into the city.